Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Caitlin Fielding, and I am a clinical support specialist with FAU CARD. I'm just going to provide you a little quick background on me. I work for FAU Center for Autism and Related Disabilities. I am one of the clinicians that works out of our Jupiter campus. I serve our teens and our adults, and I also work with our Autism Friendly Business Initiative and help support businesses within the community in becoming autism friendly. So just a quick overview today. We're going to be looking at some of these questions. So some of the questions to be answered, we're going to talk about what is a school-based enterprise, some of the benefits of having a school-based enterprise within your classroom, how can you set up and structure a micro enterprise within your classroom. Perhaps it's a very diverse classroom, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how you can structure that and make it work and flow in your classroom setting. How you can align your curriculum within your classroom setting with the school-based enterprise, as well as possibly IEP goals that you can help drive using the micro enterprise system. And what are ways that you can make it successful in a very diverse classroom. So there are quite a few ways that you can make this work, and we're going to talk a little bit more about them. So first and foremost, what is the school-based enterprise? So it is a set of entrepreneurial activities that the students take on that provides economic, social, and educational returns to the students and the schools and the community. So school-based enterprise are designed to promote responsibility, the understanding of the risk versus reward when you're looking at a business, as well as the understanding of confidence in achieving and maintaining independence of a business in itself. So students' efforts are typically designed to promote this business within the classroom, and students will achieve a higher understanding of the business opportunities and perhaps why these businesses work the way they do. So what are some benefits of the micro enterprise? First and foremost, business management skills. So what does that mean? This means increasing the understanding of money management, such as financing and budgeting, marketing skills, how to promote a business, the product and the service development. How are you producing the product? How is it being delivered? How are we promoting the business in itself? So what are the ways that you are getting the word out about your business? And that's how you will be making your money and your income. And how are we placed, as well as placement and logistics of the business. So where it's located, when it's being run, how it's being run, as well as understanding computer proficiency. So typically a lot of these programs that you utilize to help promote your business and manage your business are done on the computer, and it helps enhance those skills as well. Another portion of the micro enterprise that can help in your classroom is the social and communication skills, especially those individuals on the spectrum. The social and communication skills are a big one. So focusing on the relationship and the teamwork building, understanding, negotiating, and compromising when it comes to specific tasks within the micro enterprise. Also dispute resolution. So if there's a conflict within the business, or there's a conflict between two individuals in the classroom or within the micro enterprise, how can we come up with a solution in the best way that's more professional, such as being within a business out in the community. It helps also foster those leadership and mentoring skills. So especially if you're a teacher in a classroom that has quite a diverse population, so maybe some of your students are more independent than others, you typically, or you could lean on those students that have more of those independent skills, and they can help be mentors to those who might need more support. Rather than having the teacher be the support, we can utilize the individuals that are more independent to help support the ones that would need more training, or possibly more prompting when completing some of the tasks. This next part we're going to look at about the benefits of the microenterprise are the executive functioning, also known as organizational skills. So executive functioning, which is one of the areas more specifically individuals with autism typically need support with, and that's understanding how to organize and prioritize activities. So which ones are of importance, which ones can be done later on. Maybe there's something that needs to be done for the day rather than something that needs to be completed by the end of the week. So understanding how you can prioritize those activities. Understanding decision-making, so which tasks need to be completed first. So how can we decide on which tasks need to be completed at the top of the list, and then can we work down from there? Also, executive functioning can focus on some of the problem solving, the conflict resolution as well as finding adaptability. So being a little more flexible, and if there's something that might be not working, maybe trying to find a better way to make that that specific task or specific chore be easier, or there's a better way that it can be completed. The next part is personal and self-advocacy skills. So this is also something that individuals who have IEPs or individual education plans, they typically have some form of self-advocacy goal or understanding of understanding for personal goals. So this area in particular in the microenterprise can focus on goal development and appreciation for time management, understanding organizational skills, as well as multitasking. And again, we can look at prioritizing as well. So like I said, many of these skills are also related to IEP plans. So the microenterprise can also drive and help support some of these goals as well. So we're going to focus on or look at student achievement within the microenterprise. So what are some ways that the microenterprise can help better a student? So the first one is academic achievement. It's shown that if a student is involved in a microenterprise, that there's increased attendance, there's more increased engagement within the classroom, as well as an increase in grade point average, and wanting to be a part of the school business helps promote some of these things. As you can see, employment achievement is probably one of the bigger ones. So when you have a microenterprise within your school or in your classroom, it helps point out some of the more important skills of being a good employee. So if you are focusing on being on time and making sure that your tasks are prioritized and there's planning involved, it typically would lead to a individual who would go out to the community and get a paid job with a decrease in turnover, as well as increased roles of responsibilities and understanding the business as a whole. The next part of student achievement we're going to look at is the cognitive performance. So understanding that there's a game plan for them to be prepared, be ready for the business, be ready to go for the day, and it helps put them in a better mindset. The next section we're going to look at is beliefs and attitudes and values. So this goes along with a lot of kind of those self-advocacy skills and understanding. So it increases self-esteem, self-efficiency, some motivational factors with actually coming to school and feeling like they belong to something bigger, something that they are contributing to, as well as increased socialization as well. Some other areas that we're going to look that the microenterprise can help with student achievement are health and well-being. So it's shown that there are decreased risk behaviors in individuals that are participating in microenterprises. Their physical and mental health improves just by understanding how, if they come to school, that people are relying on them, that they have classmates that can support them within this classroom business. So it helps with some of those stress management skills, as well as some of those possibly a student that might not want to come to school would then show up because they know that somebody is relying on them. And the last one is community engagement. So being a part of a microenterprise increases the linkage to the community. So if you are running a classroom business and you need to gain support from the community, it allows the students in the class to reach out to those smaller, perhaps those smaller community businesses to help gain the support and understanding of that business aspect. So how can we set up a successful microenterprise? There's a few areas that we need to focus on. So the first one would be the name and the logo selection. The next one, your mission, vision, and values. The third one would be the structure. So how is your structure going to look of your actual business? The next part is going to be the target market. Who are we promoting to? And what is the outlook of that target market look like? The next part is going to be the marketing to that specific target market. So how can we market and get the word out about the business? Promoting, what are ways that we're going to promote the business? Are there emails? Are there newsletters? Are students doing a word of mouth? Then we have to look at pricing. Again, supply and demand, taking a look at which supplies we're going to be selling and how much are we selling them for a profit. And then location and logistics. So is this business going to be set up in an area permanently? Is it going to be set up daily and then broken down? What is that going to look like for your classroom or for your microenterprise? So first, we're going to look at the name and the logo selection. So when you pick a name and a logo, you want to make sure it identifies what your classroom business is going to be. So this can be done as a classroom activity, get all the students involved. So some of the questions to ask while brainstorming a name: is it memorable or distinctive? What does it tell the customers about what's being sold in that business? You want to make sure that when you are choosing a name or a logo that it doesn't give any negative association. So you don't want to create a logo or something with an acronym that might come out and it could possibly be a negative association with a word. And then also when you're looking at this and you're trying to choose a logo and a name, you want to make sure it's giving the customer or the prospective customer some information about the goods and the services that are being provided. Humor is good. Just make sure that it kind of goes along with the business aspect and it's not an off-putting slang word or misspelled words. So the next part we're going to look at is the mission and the vision and the value. So for the mission, you want to make sure that it reflects what the actual purpose of this business is. Why is it here? What is this business doing? So I had a classroom microenterprise when I was teaching, and we were called the Puzzle Piece Cafe. So I had a classroom that was a diverse classroom of individuals with autism. And we had a coffee business. It started as a coffee cart, and then it kind of gradually evolved over the years. So the mission that we had was to provide staff and students with a nutritious and delicious breakfast to start their day. So the mission tells what the purpose of the business is. It was to provide the school staff and students with breakfast and coffee. And then the important parts that were highlighted within that mission statement were what we were serving and what we were doing. So we had coffee and breakfast, and it started their day. So make sure when you are creating a mission that it's really focusing on why your business is truly there. The next part is the vision. So the long range outlook for the business. What does it look like down the road? How do you see the future of this business growing? Even if it's small steps, you want to kind of plant those into the students' heads. And you as the teacher want to make sure that you can see a vision of how this business is going to grow. So for example, with my microenterprise, with our coffee business, we wanted to expand outside of the school. We wanted to be able to serve possibly the community members, maybe conferences that were being held. We wanted to be able to expand and serve those customer bases as well. And then when we look at the values, this is probably perhaps the most important reason. You want to make sure that all your students know why they're putting in all this work. Why are they showing up every day and doing this? So it serves as a good reminder for the employees, the reason behind the work they're doing, the teamwork they're putting in, as well as the support that they're giving when they show up every day and they show up ready to work. So this is a quick classroom activity that you can do with your students. So you can do it in a small group, you can do it in a whole group, you can break them individually and then come together as a group. Have them write their own mission, vision, and values. What do they see for a business? How do they believe that they would value this business, or what do they see would help benefit them, or why is this a business that would make them excited to come to school every day? So this is something that you can do, especially in the beginning of a school year. Find out where they stand, what they're looking for, and then come together and kind of discuss it as a whole. So the next part we're going to look at is how to structure and manage your classroom microenterprise. So the first thing you want to do is you want to think about the classroom dynamics. So how does your classroom flow on a day-to-day basis? So are there certain students that, again, require more support? Are there ones that automatically and just instinctively take that leadership skill, take that leadership role? Can we utilize those students that instinctively take those leadership roles and help provide those students that might need more support or look for more support, and pair them up and perhaps mentor-mentee them to help support them within that classroom business aspect? So what or who does your management team look like? So again, you want to think of your leaders in your classroom. They're potentially going to be your managers. So they're going to be the ones that, again, take the lead. They know when to start, they know when to stop, they know where everyone should be, where they're going, what the business is doing. And you want to make sure that they really can help support those individuals that, again, do need more help in these settings. And then we want to look at some examples of how can you utilize your leaders as most efficiently in the classroom. So I have on here just a little brief overview of how I kind of set up my classroom microenterprise with specific jobs. So there, because it was a coffee business, we had a food prep, a food runner, an order taker, a barista, a cashier. And a lot of these roles we were able to utilize individuals that were leaders in more of understanding and independent in these activities, and then pair them up with a student that would require more support in as a food runner. Maybe they required more support about navigating the school building, but there was a student that was able to almost independently navigate the school building themselves. So again, think of those dynamics in your classroom. It's going to be different in every classroom. So it's really how your classroom works in those particular settings. And you want to think, how can it work within a microenterprise setting? So this is just another example of how you can find out what students are thinking, some of the qualities that they feel that they possess that would make them good leaders. So for example, you can utilize sample job applications. So create a job application with the positions that are open within your business. So you can find out which students would like to perhaps be a manager. Maybe some don't want to be a manager and they want to be a cashier. And it just helps provide you a little bit of feedback from them personally on how they can help best support your business. Then we want to take a look at the target market. So you want to identify who the target market is and who are we specifically looking at to serve for within your classroom business. Is it just school staff? Is it both staff and students? Are we looking at the community in itself? Are we looking at maybe board members? Are they being served if there's board meetings happening? And then you also want to take a look at what time of day would best serve that target market. So referring back to my classroom business of a coffee and breakfast. Obviously, if you're serving coffee and breakfast items, that target market is going to be served in the beginning of the day. So we took a survey in the beginning of the school year when would be a good time for teachers to come and visit us and get their coffee and their breakfast. And it was typically about an hour or so after students had arrived where their day was kind of flowing and they were able to kind of get their students rolling. And then they were able to come in and they were able to purchase a coffee, or it was able to be bought over the phone and they were able to have it delivered to them. And then how is your target market going to be initially reached? What are ways you're going to get the word out to that target market? Are we promoting around the school with flyers? Are we sending emails out to parents? Is there social media involved? What are ways that we're getting this target market to know that this business is open, or that we are, what times of day that we're actually functioning? So some target market examples I have here. So staff and students within the school itself. You can look at perhaps parents or a select group such as like a PTA. Maybe the parents are being offered some of your services while they're in car line being picked up. And then maybe there's an outside market area. So is there smaller community members or community businesses outside of your school that are in a close proximity that you're going to be serving? Are they going to be helping support you? So just taking a look at some of the ways that you can reach those target markets. So marketing. So now that the word's out about your new business, what kind of promoting are we doing? So what are some initial ways that you probably want to make this cost-effective, cheap, easy ways that you can market before you have a profit? So like I said, emails are free. If you're able to put emails out to all your parents and promote your business, is your assistant principal or your principal able to put it in a monthly newsletter that they have that's sent out at the end of every month? Are you able to promote it on social media? Does your classroom have a web page? Some classrooms have web pages. Are we able to promote it this way? And then how often are you going to review your marketing? So maybe the initial way you get the word out is via email, but are there other ways that you can perhaps promote? Maybe when you make a profit, you're able to put it in a community flyer that goes out. Maybe there's a magazine that goes out that's within your community. Are you able to purchase an ad and perhaps promote that way? And then school newspapers. There's so many different ways that you can market your business in order to get the word out about when and where you're selling your items. And then I just have a few examples on here. So BOGO items, purchase a coffee, get a free donut. Maybe you have offer frequent flyer cards. And then, so a big one for, especially when we worked in the coffee business, that a lot of individuals didn't necessarily carry cash with them. So is there a way that you can utilize a square that you can attach to an iPad that you can scan debit cards and charge a card rather than taking cash? So these are just some examples about how you can help market your business and help it grow. So pricing. When we talk pricing, especially when you initially start up a business, you want to make sure that you're pricing according to who you're marketing to. So just know that not everybody's going to be satisfied, but you do need to understand that this is a business and you do want to create a revenue for yourself and you do want to create a revenue for your classroom. So you might notice that if you are selling an item and it's a few people or over a course of a few days, somebody has come in and said, I'd really like that item, but it's just a little too expensive. Maybe you want to take readjust that price and take a look at some of the ways you can be flexible with your pricing and in order to sell those products. So is there a happy medium that we can help promote and sell your item, and as well as create a revenue within the business? So again, promoting the business, you want to make sure that you're listing the items that you'll need in order to start this business. So a lot of times parents will help support with this. Perhaps you're able to take out a loan from your principal, or your parents are providing you with within your classroom with some resources. So we were able to, within my microenterprise, have quite a bit donated, such as a coffee machine. We had quite a bit of the supplies that were donated at the beginning of the school year, just to kind of kickstart us to get going. And then we maintained our revenue and made sure that we were keeping track of the money that we were taking in. There's also other ways that we can promote the business. So having punch cards or frequent flyer cards, that's another way that you can help promote and make sure that you still have customers coming back. So the next part we're looking at is location and logistics. So this is taking a look at where you're going to be setting up your business. Is there a specific spot in which this business is going to live all the time? Is it always going to be set up? Or is it something that is going to be set up daily or twice a week for a specific amount of time, and then packed up and put away for the other parts? Where are we selling these items? Are they being done during the school day? Are they being done during special events? But you want to make sure that you take a look at kind of where you're logistically going to set up your business. So you also want to take a look at some of the initial funding. So like I said, we would have quite a bit of donations from parents, and then we would also take out a $200 loan from our principal, in which we would use to buy kind of the startup supplies at the beginning of the school year. And then we would pay that loan back, and then we would be able to make our revenue for the school year. So I'm just going to flip through a few pictures here on how I kind of set up my microenterprise. And within my classroom, it was dynamic. So it wasn't something that was set up all the time. Some things did stay in certain spots, but it was set up daily by the students. So when you walked in, this was the initial setup spot. So you had your order taker with your menu, your cashier. The iPad was used as a cash register. So we had an app on there that the students could use to calculate change and make sure that it was a visual support for them as well. This was kind of our coffee area. So again, we have a Keurig. We had some breakfast items. They were very simple breakfast items. They just had to be microwaved. And the Keurig was a great help, especially with kind of those checklists of ways to make coffee, especially for individuals with autism. You're able to go down the list and follow the step-by-step directions for Keurig. It was great. This is just another setup of how we kind of laid everything out for the day. I'm going to preface this with, this was pre-COVID times. This is about 3 years ago. So we had everything laid out, all the food supply, all the coffee was out, the creamers, the teas. And that was restocked daily by our whoever was doing the inventory that day. We had our bagels with our toaster. Again, this is something that was set up every day. And so that was just kind of the way that we set up all of our supplies for the day. So a lot of times teachers would get a little weary of how they're going to fit everything into their day, especially if they have a ton of curriculum to get through that day for specifically for testing and for students that are in those FHA, FSA classes. So there are plenty of academic skills that align with our microenterprise. Math, money math, reading. When you look at job and vocational skills, especially those that are in transition classrooms, if you have a student that, or you are a teacher in a classroom of students that are in the transition setting, those vocational and job skills are clearly met. And again, I talked about IEP goals with those daily living and those life skills. Just making sure that, you know, those IEP goals can be met within that microenterprise. They could have a basic IEP goal of, you know, making sure that they completed their hand washing the right way, or perhaps one of their IEP goals is based on money. And then again, the social skills aspect is worked on immensely throughout this microenterprise. You have to make sure that you're communicating with both your peers and your adults, as well as making sure that you're communicating with whoever you're selling to. So there's lots of ways that you can align your curriculum with your microenterprise. So how can we make this successful in a very diverse classroom? So again, treat your classroom at that time of day like it's a business. Make sure that your students, when their focus is the microenterprise, that they truly are acting as though they're going to work. So I always told my students, when you come in and we're starting our day of our Puzzle Piece Cafe, I then essentially turn into your boss. I'm no longer your teacher, I would be your boss. So how are you going to act if I was your boss and you were at a job? What are some ways that you're going to treat me differently than you would treat me if I was your teacher? So the ways that we would use this is, I had an app that I would have them clock in on daily. When they started their shift, they would have to clock in and clock out in order to be paid. I would try to have them utilize as many natural supports within the classroom as possible. So making sure that they're looking towards their peer mentors as much as possible, rather than looking at their boss or their teacher to help support them within that environment. And then when they're working on new skills, making sure that they're understanding the new skill, but they're also utilizing, again, those natural supports or some of those supports that were put in place, such as visuals or checklists. So this is just kind of a look at some of the daily to-dos with keeping up with the business. This again it would vary if there was things going on during that week. So Mondays was typically designated for our shopping. So that was the day that if we needed supplies, that we would go out into the community. Again, pre-COVID days, we would typically go to Walmart or Publix and go pick up the supplies that we need in order to run the business from Tuesday through Friday. And typically it took about 15 minutes to set up the business. We ran our sales from about 8:45 to 9:30 in the morning. And then we would clean up between 9:30 and 9:45. And that gave time for the cleanup. And then afterwards, we would run through the reports for the day. So this was also another visual support for our cashier. So every day that we set up, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we would put a starting amount in the cash box, again, using the ending amount. And then they would calculate how much they made that day. And then at the end of the week, we totaled the amount that you earned for the week. So again, aligning with curriculum, they were doing money math, they were able to utilize a visual support, and it created more of an independence. This is also, so our students would be paid on the days that they were on shift. They would be paid about $4 per shift. And they would have to keep track of this. So it was also used within our app if they were clocking in and clocking out. So they would typically write down the days that they were on shift, were they paid, and then at the end of the week, they would we had money, school money, and they would be paid. And then we also had a classroom that would run another micro enterprise. That was the classroom, the school business where they would go in and they could purchase items. So they had anything from small little knickknacks to if during the holidays they would have things, and then chips and toys, and not toys, chips and candy and things like that. So they were able to purchase, or they could save for maybe something bigger that they wanted. This is a quick little snapshot of our puzzle piece cafe inventory checklist. So again, this was also a job of an individual in the classroom. They would make sure that all the items were listed on here. It would have to be counted, and we typically try to do this at least 2 times a week to make sure that we were keeping up with all the items that we had and what was being sold. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the supports that can be used within the micro enterprise. The biggest one being schedules, like visual supports and schedules. So individuals with autism are visual learners, and they are able to help. It helps improve their communication and understand things better when we utilize pictures with words. So when you are creating your micro enterprise, and perhaps you do have individuals with autism in your classroom, you want to make sure that we are having those visual supports or those checklists in place so that they can be as independent as possible, or perhaps if they have a student leader or a mentor that's helping them, the mentor can help refer to the checklist rather than verbally telling them how to do it every day or every time they need help. So this is just a little example of some of the visual supports that we use in the Puzzle Piece Cafe. So all of the students I had, they were all readers. So they're able to read, but the order form here, they were able to follow along with the checklist of taking the order and make sure they would use a highlighter and highlight what the person on the other end was saying. And then they were able to go into their calculator and total the cost for the individual. Either they were taking it over the phone or they were coming in. So if you had a classroom that was more diverse and you wanted to do something like this, you could take this order form and perhaps you needed pictures into it. It would be very easy to just add pictures next to each one of these words, and then it would help serve maybe an individual that was not able to read as well, and those picture supports would help them. So checklists are a big one. So they help break down some of those multi-step tasks for the individuals that perhaps need help and support with this. So a step-by-step direction on the first, second, third, placing little boxes so that they can go down the line and check off what tasks they have done. This serves as a memory prompter, as well as alleviates some of those verbal directions and some of that adult interaction that might have to happen if an individual is able to just follow the checklist. So this is a quick example of a script, and this is also, again, like a visual support. You're able to follow down the line. The student who was taking the order was able to fill in the blanks. The red was used as more of a prompt for them and telling them what to do, take out the order form. And then at the end, it closes it up, making sure that the individual is properly ending the conversation. So I'm going to show you a quick YouTube video of the the way that you can utilize on an iPhone or an iPad how to create a checklist, and it's very easy and very versatile with individuals that might need checklists or supports.
In this tutorial, you will learn how to create checklists in the iPhone Notes app on iOS 9. Open the Notes application and go to one of the default folders, iCloud or on my iPhone, or create a new one if you'd like. Create a note in one of the folders and tap the floating plus button at the bottom right of the note body. Tap the checkmark button to add the first checkable item. Type in whatever it is you want to buy or have to do and hit enter. Each new line starts with a new item on the checklist. Once you've created your list, you can open it up and tap the circle next to an item and mark it as done. In this tutorial,
again, all iPhones So again, the checklists are put on all iPhones or iPads, and you're able to create those checklists for those individuals that might need them, or something that might be changed daily. That way you don't have to keep writing it out over and over again. The next part of kind of the visual supports that were utilized within my particular classroom enterprise was called a task analysis. So task analysis are used to break down complex tasks that are typically multi-steps, and they're used for individuals with autism that can create an understanding of sequentialing tasks in order. So it typically helps them with understanding of which goes first, second, third, and identifies any of the tasks that they possibly might need more help or support with. So if you're following a task analysis and you're helping an individual complete a multi-step task, and you're seeing that maybe they can complete 1, 2, and 3, but 4, 5, 6 might give them trouble. It helps you understand where they are able to complete up to, and then you can utilize the remainder of the skills in which they need more support, and just teach those skills rather than teaching the entire thing over and over again. So this is just an example. So this was our task analysis breakdown on how to cook the English muffin turkey sausage egg white sandwich. So it had 7 steps. And then they could check it off when they completed it. So take out the plastic, wrap it in a paper towel, heat it for 80 seconds, flip it over, heat for 50 more, and then place it in a bowl and serve. So if you were looking at this and you had somebody in your classroom that was completing this task analysis, maybe they can complete tasks 1, 2, 3, but once they get to 4, they're stuck, or they need support, or they need a prompt. Then you can go ahead and teach just 4 through 7, rather than having to teach 1 through 7 over and over again. So that's just a way to help support some individuals that might need the breakdown of tasks. Information sharers are also great. They serve as conversation starters. We would use these at the end of shift. It would allow me to see what worked, what didn't work, what were some things that possibly the student had trouble with or they weren't enjoying. And then it can facilitate communication between the teacher and the student. Perhaps the teacher keeps putting the student in that particular role, and now they know that they don't like that role, or that's something that they're not really enjoying. So it helps facilitate conversation, and in turn, it'll help your business and run and grow better. Again, this is just an example of the reflection sheet or the information share. Very basic. What were some of the things, the tasks that were done that day, how they feel about the tasks that they did that day, what worked well for them, what they can improve on, and maybe if they liked or did not like it. And then again, you can have a conversation about it. So generalization of skills. All students involved in the classroom were typically involved what's called a CBVE. So it's called a community-based vocational education. where they were either working at a volunteer job experience within the school or out into the community. So again, pre-COVID times, students that were typically in transition classrooms were involved in this, and they were able to have job coaches that would take them out to particular job settings throughout the week. It was usually about twice a week where they would go for a few hours and they would complete tasks there based on their skill sets and kind of their interests from interest surveys. So a lot of times I would have feedback from the job coaches saying that the participants were working much better, or communicating much better, or utilizing their supports a lot more when they were out into their community job settings because they were utilizing them within the classroom setting. So this is a short little success story that I had within my classroom. So I had a student, his name was Ivan. He would get his lunch every day and automatically call for a teacher to come over and help him open all of his snack bags. So Ivan was a participant in our microenterprise, and he had a student assigned to him as a mentor to help support him throughout some of his tasks within the business. So after being involved in the business for about 6 weeks, he began to ask his classmates for help when he needed it with his lunch rather than calling for his teachers. So this was just a little bit of a success story that makes you realize how much these can benefit these students in looking for their peers or their coworkers when needing support. Here's a brief video about our classroom micro enterprise. Before I show this video, I'd like to say thank you for participating in this webinar. To obtain a certificate of completion, you must fill out the form at the certificate of completion link provided in this email for the training. Please write down this code as it will be required to receive the certificate. The code is CFO 072021. Again, the code is CFO 072021.
So the general store is a business that we are starting here at Thomas Nelson from the ground up. So we got a little bit of funding and we had to do some fundraising. And now we're selling products to students in lunch, and we are trying to open up a physical space as well. Currently, we are just selling clothing items. So you can get like nice sherpas and stuff like that. We've got hats, bracelets, but we're also trying to expand it to school supplies as well. We also have management positions. I'm the general manager. We have shift managers. We have inventory stockers. We've got lots of positions going within the store. The school day would look pretty normal. For the most part, you would go to your 4th period class and you would have an opportunity to work in the general store, whether you're selling or designing clothes. I think it's a really unique experience, and I'm really glad that I get to participate in it.
Thank you so much for participating in this webinar. And if you need further information, please contact FAU CARD at 561-297-2055 or email card@fau.edu.